We're good to go, Chris.
I'll make a motion to open the meeting at 5:05.
Give me 1 sec.
I'll take it back.
You press the button? My phone?
You're on.
It's as green as it gets.
I'll make a motion to open the meeting at 5:05.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
All right, so I guess we'll start the meeting with
Joe.
Joe Demore, the town moderator's here to ask a few questions.
Yeah. You could have stayed there, Joe.
Thank you very much, Colin, and this is the hardest working committee and board in Groveland. God bless what you guys do. We appreciate you.
Gotta have water.
So we have 48 articles on the town warrant this year. April 28th is the meeting. We're hoping for a great turnout. We have some really big issues. You guys occupy 42 to 48.
Oh, good.
So that's quite a bit of a chunk there. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 require a simple majority, and then 47 and 48 require a two-thirds majority. So I'm looking for just helicopter view. I'm conducting, in addition to participating in your meeting, this segment's going to be recorded. I'm conducting a series of educational series, an educational series to help people, prepare for the meeting. So I really appreciate your time, and I value your time, so I'll minimize it. Colin, just quickly explain one thing for me, and before you do that, let me just mention this thing, so that people can get a little bit focused on what we're talking about here. There are segments of the annual town meeting, a summary of, general government matters, but there's 5 big sections: general bylaws, zoning bylaws, community preservation, appropriations, and then you guys, enterprise funds. So for the interested public, what is an enterprise fund, please?
I guess layman's terms, it's
Layman terms.
it's a separate mechanism for accounting of our funds. So we are only funded by water and sewer bills. We do not get any tax revenue. So our whole operation is funded by what we collect from water and sewer bills.
Okay.
And it's accounted for separately, so the town hypothetically can't take water revenue and buy a fire truck or, pave a sidewalk. And it's set up so that can't happen.
Okay. And you can't fill potholes in front of my house?
No,
Okay.
talk to the highway.
All right. Anybody can chime in. And Colin, thank you again. Thank you all. Article 52, we're going to raise 1,700,000 and,
42.
what's that?
42? Or are you going to 52?
No, Article 42.
Okay, you said
said
52. You said 52.
Oh, I did. I'm
No,
sorry.
That's okay, I just want to make
It's been a
sure.
long day.
It's okay, Joe.
I'm a financial advisor. The markets have been difficult. So so you're going to raise some money for Article 42. Tell me a little bit about that, if you know offhand. Again, helicopter view, nothing.
Yeah, so
extremely detailed.
is that the general water budget?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's just our water budget warrant article. I think it's like 1.7, is that accurate?
Yes,
don't-
1 million, yep, 1,741,000.
So
Okay.
that's our operating budget. It's actually level funded outside of the, with that new capital fee that we've added on to the water bills. That's included in that, as well as the funding source to pay for the loan for the engineering work for the upcoming filtration plant.
Does that, because I actually don't know, does that include employees also?
Yep,
It does, okay. So that's your budget?
yeah.
Take care of business, okay. 738,000 and change, 738,913 for Article 43.
That would be the sewer budget. Same thing, we're enterprise fund, so that is the money that funds the sewer operation. We have 2 different enterprise funds, water and sewer. So that pays salaries, pays, electricity bills, it pays for all the sewer equipment. That's,
Okay, I appreciate it. Article 44, 45,000, what is the variable frequency drive?
So a variable frequency drive is basically the motor control for it's what turns on the pumps in the sewer stations. They're like 75 horsepower motors, so you can't just like flip a switch and have it turn on. A VFD, variable frequency drive, it slowly ramps it up, and you can adjust the power, and it tells the motor how fast to turn, which, the speed dictates how much gallons per minute it pumps.
44 and 45, and the ones previous, it sounds to me this is kind of routine stuff,
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, this is like every year you come back and
Yeah.
we need money for this, or you're telling us how you're spending the money.
yeah.
Basically, okay.
Yeah, there's certain things that, warrant articles that we have every couple years. For instance, every 3 to 5 years, we have to have the water tanks. A company comes in and they dive in the tank actually, and they basically vacuum the bottom of the tank. They do an inspection of the coatings on the inside of the tank. While that's not in our operating budget, we know that we have to pay for it every 3 to 5 years. So every 3 to 5 years, you'll see it in a warrant article.
Pretty proactive. Article 45, water retained earnings to fund water tank cleaning. Just what you were talking about, 45,000, I'm sorry, 70,000 for that as well. By the way, all of these, including the ones that require two-thirds vote, we've had favorable action by both the Select Board and the Finance Board. So you folks will bring in money through the water rates. You're basically, as experts, which you are, tell us how you need to allocate that money. But the people at town meeting still, the voters still have to approve it.
Correct.
Okay, and you submitted all these articles, meaning you, the board, and we have favorable action by both the Select Board and Finance Board after their review that how you want to spend this money is acceptable, so thank you. All right, let's go to number 46, to see if the town will vote to transfer $117,946 for the water retained earnings for the purpose of funding the BAN payoff, B-A-N. I know what that is. Can you tell people what that is?
A BAN is a bond anticipation note. It's essentially short-term borrowing. From what I'm told, this is a little bit out of my job description essentially, but when the town goes to borrow money, if it's not of a large enough size, people don't buy it. If they buy it, it's a bond. If it's a temporary 1-year borrowing, it's a BAN. So this article is, it was either last year or 2 years ago, we borrowed money to do well drilling to try to find a new well. In going through that process, we discovered that that was no longer going to be a viable option. So we had asked to borrow about $600,000, if I'm remembering correctly, but this is just repurposing that money to put it towards water main replacement.
Basically paying off a debt. And it's a relatively short-term debt?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, a couple of the big ones here, number 48, Article 48, 7 rather, and 48. So let's look at these each individually. $466,754 for Article 47. This requires a two-thirds vote. I'm going to stop reading. Just tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so that's kind of the other half of what the previous one was. The 117 was paying off the amount of money we spent at looking to drill wells. This article is the remaining balance. It's to repurpose the funds that were already appropriated previously, to take that 400 and change and put them towards doing water main replacement.
48, last one, and this happens to be the last article of the evening. Should have put you guys at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes, you should have.
I might have something to say about that next year. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $44,600,000. This is a big ticket item. What are we buying here?
We're buying a water filtration facility, something that Groveland has never had before, but we're being forced to build it by the state and feds based upon PFAS, which is kind of the hot button item right now in the water world. It's Forever Chemical is what they're calling it. We're just over the threshold for the new regulation that came out. So we have to be compliant by 2029. We looked at purchasing water from Haverhill versus building our own plant. We did an engineering study with our engineers and the city of Haverhill's engineers, and my board voted to build our own. Roughly, it's going to be about half the cost to do it ourselves versus purchasing it from the city.
And purchasing water from Haverhill.
Yeah.
So the PFAS, those are nasty little chemicals that are in minute amounts in our water. The federal government basically said we want even less. And that's why the wells that draw our water, it's not less enough.
Yeah, so
So someone would
now-
say that's an unfunded mandate. Here we go again, right?
So essentially, Massachusetts had a regulation. The way Massachusetts did it was they looked at 6 of these compounds and added those scores together, and you had to be less than 20, your results. We were compliant with that. The feds, the EPA, came out with new regulations, which they look at them individually, and you can't be higher than 4 parts per trillion. We average again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but 4.5. So they don't care if you're 0.5 over or if your results are
Sure.
2 million.
So did you make the decision and then it became favorably advised after review by both the select board and finance? Is that how it works?
So I guess the way it worked is the board votes, the board voted which direction they wanted to take. And then the funding aspect is pretty much gets decided at at town meeting.
Town meeting, great, thank you.
This board made the decision of which route to take. They vote to set the rates to generate the money to pay for it, and town meeting gets to tell us if we can spend the money that we collect or not.
Two amazing geological features of Groveland. One of them is gone, rolling sand dunes like Provincetown. The other thing is we have a giant bowl of water, fresh water, fed by springs and underneath our grounds, centered mostly around Center Street. We have wells tapped in there. So we're going to keep those wells as our main water source. We just have to get that water filtered now.
Correct, yeah, we're gonna take the 3 wells that we have existing. One's by the solar field and 2 are out back here by the river. We're gonna pump all that water to a facility at the Pines on land that the water department has control over. Build a facility there, clean it, and pump it back out to town.
Very good. I grew up in Malden and Everett. I drank MWRA water, so Groveland water better filtered. It'll be better than Poland Springs. Thanks for what you guys do.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
Let's move it into the Board of Health, move
Yeah.
it around. Okay. Hi. So I read on Facebook a lot. That is? I know, but I can't help it. It's like an addiction. I think there's just a lot of questions, and so I think the questions always come to us of like, why are you putting fluoride in our water, and can you take it out? And my response continues to be like, yeah, we can, but you got to bring it to town meeting, right? So I was thinking about this and saying, I feel like I'd like to genuinely educate the public on the process if they really wanted it to remove, when it got added, those kinds of things, and wanted to hopefully make it a collaboration effort with the Board of Health.
Yeah.
That's where it started. Let's see where it goes.
So why fluoride? I mean, one of the great public health successes of the 20th century. I mean, it really is. I mean, so we know fluoride is a naturally occurring mineral found in water, air, soil, and certain foods. It's not a synthetic chemical. It's not toxic. It's part of the environment, an element on the periodic table, strengthens tooth enamel, making teeth more resistant to decay, through remineralization. It's an essential mineral for tooth enamel, that's lost over time due to acid exposure. Fluoride supports the replacement of these lost minerals, reversing the stages of tooth decay. So that's why it's in toothpaste and drinking water and applied by dentists. You know, is it safe? It is safe. There's levels set that you can be at. Public water supply is regulated to 7.7 parts per million. The level was chosen to prevent cavities and avoid any risk of toxicity. You need to drink over 280 liters of water in a single day to reach toxic level of fluoride. At that point, the water itself would kill you before the fluoride did.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy to answer questions. I think
Yeah.
that, you know, we know that anything in great excesses is toxic. The argument that fluoride in drinking water is toxic, I think, is a little out there a little bit, but,
I agree. I'm not
you know,
disagreeing.
I know, I'm just saying that, like I said, you'd have to take it in great amounts to make it as toxic, and anything you take in great amounts, alcohol in great amounts is gonna be toxic. So, I don't know.
I agree. I think I just want to, go ahead, Terry.
I do have a question.
I bet you do.
I have a mouthful of silver and gold.
Yep.
Because I grew up with a well, and before fluoride was routinely available, big fan of fluoride. We used to get it in little drops that we could put in water. And to put in fluoride, what percentage of the water that gets pumped out ends up in our bodies as opposed to our lawns and our showers and our dishwashers and everything else? Are there other ways to get fluorine to people where it can be, more effective?
Well, I mean, I think it's in toothpaste. Dentists use it.
Right.
And put it on your teeth every 6 months, you go to the dentist. But I do think that fluoride in water is one of the great public health successes of the 20th century. If you go to any low-income,
No, I'm totally
Community,
with you. I'm just, we, toward the end, when my teeth had already gotten bad,
right,
we had fluoride drops that we could put in drinking water. And that way, it would just be used for drinking water. And it could be a choice, because if there are people that are concerned about it, they don't have to take them. Have there been studies showing, the relative costs of doing it that way? Or,
I mean, I'd have to look into it. I don't, not that I'm aware of, but
yeah, I mean, the toxicity, it's not an issue. The amount of water that you'd have to drink would be, like you said, you would die from overhydration before you died of fluoride. But I'm just wondering if there's other ways to get fluoride to people.
not that I'm aware of, but I mean, I'd have to look into that, yeah.
No, I think, from my perspective, I think it's a good thing. When I go to the pediatrician with my daughter, there's a chart of where our surrounding neighbors, right? And they're highlighted like, no fluoride, partial fluoride. Like, they have a chart and they have one, I forget what town it is, and it's like big and yellow, and they're like, no fluoride at all, right? So I always look at that as a positive thing. During her visits, they were like, oh, we can provide fluoride to put on our teeth, because a lot of kids weren't going to the dentist during COVID because they were concerned. So I just always think that that's so interesting that people are concerned about it, when I see it as such a positive thing. Same thing for the Board of Health perspective, so. No, I know it's silly, I know it was.
I don't
I'm
think it's
I'm-
silly. I
I'm
think
sure it
people
was
have
far out there, but
legitimate
I just-
concerns, but-
I think, from my perspective, people are really concerned about it. I want to give them information that's factual, right? And they're like, why are we putting in the water? Well, we can take it out at any point if you really, if people feel that strongly about it, that's fine. But you gotta go to town meeting. It's not like we decided it behind closed doors just to start adding it.
Yeah, and I would urge people not to take it out. I think
I agree.
it's got more value in the water than not in the water. And I think I can cite 2 examples that I know of that removed it. Calgary, Canada, and Juneau, Alaska. Cavities and dental infections increased dramatically, and they had to bring fluoride back. So those are 2 examples that I can cite, right here, right now, so.
I know there's a local town. I don't know which one. in this area that doesn't actually put it into their water.
Yeah.
I don't want to,
I mean, my mother was on the Board of Health in South Yarmouth, and they voted to put it in
Yeah.
fluoride in the water, and it was not a popular decision, so,
interesting.
but I mean, I think just public health-wise, I think it's a rational thing to do.
I appreciate it. I appreciate putting it out there, and people will hopefully see this and feel better about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure I can get more information if people need it and
Okay.
want it. We'll put it on the website if need be, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I genuinely appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes, Joe? Okay. Go forward.
All right.
Appreciate your presentation. If I drank 280 liters of water, Colin would be thrilled. My water and sewer bill would be $1 million. So I'm looking at the warrant articles. There's nothing in any of these these articles where we need to make a decision about fluoride.
There's not.
You're being proactive.
I'm being proactive, so
Okay.
I read it. I mean, there's, obviously, the groundwater situation ends up on Facebook a lot. And then it's like, oh, it's great they're doing that, but when are they gonna take out the fluoride? So I had a conversation with Colin and was like, I'd like to somewhat address this, because it's kind of a conversation piece of like, why is Groveland Water and Sewer adding fluoride? Like, us specifically, right? It was voted in at a town meeting. That's why it's been added for a very long time. So I just wanted to address it.
All right, I know some people are very passionate about it. RFK Jr. just last week recommended to the CDC to take, to not recommend fluoride. We get a measly $1.2 million or so from the state of Massachusetts. Is anybody anticipating any type of funding assault on us not being able to put fluoride if we want to stay with that decision that we made at a past warrant?
I mean, right now, we get $0 in funding
So you guys,
from the water
part of your
department,
budget.
so They can keep their $0, but, yeah, this was separate, completely separate from town meeting. It was
Correct.
just a general discussion about fluoride and how it got put there and the players involved in it.
Great. I appreciate your presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
So no resident concerns, questions?
We had a couple, mainly billing questions. We had one,
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much,
I
Board of
genuinely
Health.
appreciate it. You too.
too.
Do you have this one? That's 9/12.
Yeah, so a local place in town, essentially it's a vacant building waiting to be torn down. They failed to call us to shut the water off for the winter, and we ended up finding the building, a pipe had broke inside, and because it's vacant and the owner was in Florida for the winter, 750,000 gallons of water went through their water meter and was just dumping inside the property.
And nobody looked, huh?
No one was there to look. We went out and found it. You could hear it from in the driveway just blasting away. So we shut it off at the street. Reached out to the homeowner. When he got back from Florida, he reached back out to us. And he was just curious if there was anything that you guys would be interested in doing to help him.
Is he on sewer?
No sewer, just water.
I have a few questions. Vacant building just for winter, and like he lives there in the winter and?
No, so he bought the property, he's tearing the place down, and he's building contractor bays, I guess we'll call it. It was a single-family home, but it won't be anymore.
Okay. And this happened because the pipes froze?
Yeah, so what he normally, or what should have happened is he should have called us, we would have shut it off at the street.
Yeah.
And then if something froze inside, at least the
Would've
water's
been
off at that
minimized.
point. What he did instead was had one of his guys shut the valve off in the basement, which still leaves some exposed pipe.
Sure.
Whatever was exposed. We didn't go in the house, because,
Sure. Yep.
that's not our
Yep.
role.
So that's like 100,000 cubic feet.
No, it was, it was 99,800 cubic feet.
Okay, That's 100,000.
Yeah, so,
Come on, this
We're rounding-
is my calculator
That was
right
very
here.
good for,
essentially, his bill is $13,633.
Well, that's water we're never gonna get back.
So, obviously, you guys can do whatever you want to
So-
do, but
is he looking to try to set up a payment plan so he doesn't accrue interest? Is he looking for us to waive part of this bill?
so
I don't know if he just made any suggestions. So
he's just said, you know, anything that you guys would be willing to do would be greatly appreciated.
I'm gonna throw out a partial compromise, just charge him the lowest rate and,
Yep.
and say, look, that's water that we
saves a
we
lot of
could have
money.
used that water.
Yeah, so
We-
that,
Yeah, but on the other hand, we feel your pain.
yeah, so that's kind of what Kim and I had talked about, and while it's not our decision to make, I know what historically the previous boards would have done, and that's what they would have done. They would take the whole volume, charge it at the lowest rate.
As if we were selling it to West Newbury or
Yeah,
something.
so it ends up cutting the bill in half. So, I mean, that's a significant savings for him.
Sure.
While still having to pay a lot of money.
Yep.
He's the one who messed up, so,
Agreed.
And it's a good thing it didn't happen during the drought.
No, but it's a good reminder for anyone that if you are gonna be gone in the winter, pay the
yeah.
$75.
And,
Well, especially if he's gonna tear the place down.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna
I
get
mean, that's
cut and
just-
capped
that's-
anyway.
That's
and-
just crazy.
No, but just for anyone, right?
But yeah.
If you're thinking about
Sure,
that,
sure.
right? Just, it's so much, it saves you so much effort of $75 just to shut it off, right? Yeah. So that you don't have any of this plus whatever damage could have been done, right? Lucky enough.
Well, yeah,
Because he's tearing it down, doesn't matter, but someone else's home that lives there, that would be horrible. Okay, so do we need to make a motion to do that?
If you'd like to.
move to just charge this resident for the minimum rate at for the total amount instead of the graduated rate.
Okay.
Second,
And then we had, oh, sorry.
you're fine.
Yeah, let's vote on it
Jumping the
first.
gun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
slow down there,
You
son.
wanted us to approve this.
We had one other resident who was called and complained about some past bills that haven't been paid yet. She was looking to pay them, but she wanted to dispute a bill that was from last, was it October? It was from last year. She wasn't disputing the dollar figure, she was disputing the volume that she used. But essentially that far back, like, there's nothing that we could do to go see what was wrong at our house last September.
And she didn't say like, hey, I had a leaky toilet, didn't know about it.
Right, and she didn't read, there's a 30-day period that you have to appeal a bill. 30 days is not 9 months later.
Was she typically below the minimum and then this one period she was above the minimum?
It was,
What made her think that
So
we
it-
made a mistake in the meter?
her typical billing was like 1,500 to 1,700 cubic feet. Then it jumped up to like 5,000, and then it went back down to 1,500 to 1,700. So in my opinion, having looked at water bills, something happened during that billing, whether or not they knew it or,
And it fixed itself or they fixed it?
Right.
Yeah, like I've had a leaky toilet
Right.
and then I fix it and then it's not leaky anymore.
so typically, and she didn't reach out at the time. So,
But didn't reach out at the time, got the bill, and now has been sitting on this unpaid bill for
correct.
months.
And we're not charging her interest or we are charging her interest?
Yeah, they get interest in a demand fee. But, so, she was supposed to write a letter and/or come to this meeting. She didn't do either one of those two things. So I don't know if you guys wanted to do anything, or,
In my opinion, I'm not willing to do anything unless she comes to a meeting.
I'm not super sympathetic.
No, I mean, I would understand if you got a bill and say you were like away in Florida, or right, you were a snowbird in and out, right? And that you couldn't come to a meeting, or it was just, like, our meeting timing was just over those 30 days or whatever, I would understand that. But to wait this long and just contact you this month,
okay. Like I said, she was
if
supposed
she-
to write an email, and we
Yeah.
didn't get that, so really, this is more of a,
if she would like to come in to another meeting, happy to have her, but
Okay.
until then.
all right.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
We
Oh,
just had a,
I have some minor
Well, we can't really,
suggestions.
oh yeah, because you weren't here, right?
we're here,
Well,
so you can't vote.
I'm going to,
Yeah, so I can't vote on them.
Okay, we'll have to hold off on those.
Okay.
yeah, I kind of thought Bill would be here.
Right, yeah, so we can't do that. So, minor changes,
But we'll make,
Just typographical
Great,
stuff
that's fine.
mostly. Yeah,
Okay.
nothing substantial.
that's fine. So we'll just have to add it to
We'll
next
have to
week.
wait. Let the record show that not every commission approves its minutes every month.
That is true.
all right, next up, we have rain barrel discussion.
More of my late night reading. So, I guess Haverhill is putting out a, I don't know what I want to call it, but basically, if you purchase a rain barrel through this selected company, they'll give you $25 off your bill, which is
So
great.
it's a subsidy.
Yes, so someone had posted and was like, oh, I wish Groveland did something like this. And as you know, a few years ago.
We had.
We did.
Do I still have a barrel back there?
Maybe.
Maybe.
So, oh, this is a great example, Terry. I'm gonna pick on
You're
you.
the reason why I don't want to do it again.
So the reason why, right, is we got those barrels in, Colin, right? People, a majority of people picked them up, a majority of people did not pick them up, and then he spent the summer delivering them. So obviously don't want to put Colin back into that situation and his crew to do that. So I had a conversation with Colin about it and said, what do you think about, gaining access if people really want them? It seemed like there was a lot of talk that people still wanted those rain barrels, because we weren't able to get them to everyone that wanted them. How do we support that?
So, to follow up with that, our previous program that we ran, in coordination with, Annie and Rebecca, we did kind of 2 rounds. The first round, we paid for all, between us and them, we paid for them, so they were free. I don't remember how many we did, maybe it was 50. And they all went. And then we did a second round where we paid for like half of it, and the resident had to pay for the other half. I reached out to the company, it's called the Great American Rain Barrel. The lady was on vacation, she was supposed to send me stuff when she got back. I don't have anything from her yet. She indicated that the cost hasn't really changed, and the program still obviously exists. Separately from that, there's a,
If people buy them individually, does that price stay the same, or is that price based on us buying them and
no, so you, as a regular person, you can just buy a barrel from this
you
company.
can't, and the price isn't, it's not like we get a lesser discount?
No, we don't get a deal.
Okay, nope, just curious.
We're just subsidizing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But if it was different, right, then that's a
Yeah,
cost.
Well,
so,
could we have people prepay before announce this initiative and take orders with a $25 discount or whatever? And that way they have money in hand before we order stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's
If they
how
don't
it
pick
works
stuff
anyway.
up, Then they, you need to pick them up by a certain date. If you don't, you walk away from the water barrels.
yeah,
Tough love.
yeah.
I will be by next week.
Hold them to it. Bring it up at the next.
The,
It'll be gone.
with this, there is a company, or not a company, there's a family in town who makes and sells their own rain barrels. They are less money than the Great American Rain Barrel Company.
Same size.
Yep, same size, a 55-gallon
Same
drum with
spigot
with
and
the little hole in the
screen
top
and
of the
stuff.
screen and a ball valve at the bottom. I reached out, I found them advertising on Facebook that they sell rain barrels. I reached out to them to see if they, could handle a mass influx if we just said, hey, call these people and get yourself a rain barrel.
Yeah.
They indicated that they would be interested in, I don't want to say partnering up with us, or taking calls from residents who want a rain barrel.
Okay.
They were
And that would
interested
leave
in it.
distribution in there.
Yes. The first program that we ran was great, except for when I personally was delivering people's rain barrels because they didn't come pick them up. I'm not looking to do that again.
No.
You know, we held them for the whole summer, and, you know, by the fall, people weren't picking them up. The only, part of the problem with the Great American Rain Barrel Company is you have to get a certain number of them before they'll deliver them
Oh,
here.
there's a minimum, okay.
So, personally, if, you know, if it was my decision, I would rather give the business to the local company. And it's already less money for a resident to have to pay out.
And you don't have to worry about distribution.
Right.
All good things.
So we can maybe work to, you know, make it known that we're working in partnership with this local family who's making rain barrels, and if you're interested in them, you can either call us to get the number, or here's the number, whatever they're comfortable with.
How much, well, I guess that shouldn't be on.
They have varying options.
Okay.
But like the most expensive one was still like $30 or $40 less than the other company.
So subsidizing to the tune of $25 for the American rain barrel people would be, it would still cost them more than getting it locally.
Right.
So we wouldn't have to subsidize it, and they would get it for less.
Yeah, I think
Oh, this,
it would almost be more of us like promoting this. If you want a rain barrel, here's the contact.
yeah, and we can't, I don't think we can promote them. I think there
Well,
have to be a disclaimer about how we don't guarantee any of the quality or.
Well, I mean, we don't promote the
or-
Great American Rain Barrel Company either, but we send out a link saying, here's where you get a
Well,
rain
and
barrel.
I just looked it up, they put certain communities on their Facebook, like on their website, so like they have Haverhill on here, for example, right? It's like you have to order it by yesterday at midnight. And then the pickup is, you know, on the 26th, and it's only from 8 to noon, and then where you have to pick it up, right? So, I mean, so they advertise them, right? So and Haverhill's promoting them, but, no, I agree. I think we should definitely, whatever we can do to put it out there so people know that if they want this, maybe add it to after town meeting. We can use our PR firm to put that out there. 'Cause
Yeah.
people obviously want them, and know that this is how they can obtain them locally
Yeah.
and conveniently.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be great.
we'll work on that.
Thank you very much, Colin, for doing that. I appreciate it. Anything for us to sign?
Sorry, yeah, we got a couple things. Oh,
Oh, don't throw it, Kim.
this is just a lien release. Someone purchased a vacant building and that owed us money, so they paid us.
Same one, we just weren't sure of the book and page number, so we'll just have you sign both.
That's fine.
One,
Just the front page or two copies?
You got to sign four things.
copies, yeah.
That's the answer I was looking for. I like explicit.
Thank you, Terry.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Did Ryan say when that report would be finalized?
Last time I talked to him about it, he was still waiting to hear back from John Dowse with Haverhill. He had sent it to him, you know, in an effort to see if they had anything to add to it outside of what he had compiled.
Yeah.
He hadn't heard back from him. I met with Ryan on Friday.
Okay.
He hadn't heard back from him as of Friday.
Do we have to,
No, so we basically agreed that if he didn't hear back from him, he was just gonna finalize it
okay. because
how
I-
it was.
Yeah, because I would like that to be out there for
Yep.
town meeting, so if people wanted to read it and really understand why we made that decision, and here's all the information behind it, because I thought it was a wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I learned.
It's gonna be a lot to digest at
It is,
town
but I
meeting.
feel like it is, but I feel like I learned so much, and it was really, really well done.
Can we put it up on our website?
We should.
Yeah, we can. So along with that is, I've been working with, I think you have a copy of the press release that's gonna be going out. I gave it, there's a copy to just read through before it goes out to see if you have any changes you
Oh,
wanna
just
make.
me.
Well, I already,
Terry already did, but
I got here early.
I'm proud of you.
I got here unusually early,
Wow.
yeah, and
But-
it looked really good. There's just a couple suggestions I had.
But outside of that, we're gonna be starting like a big campaign for, that's kind of the kickoff for this
Right.
information outreach.
It's a good start because it's an important one.
Yep. So that's the first start. We'll have a separate, page on our website that's dedicated just to that. And then as, like, construction and as the project goes on, everything will be there.
Now, are we leaving the decision on the technology completely in the hands of the engineering company?
So, to an extent, it has to be. So,
Because what I'm suggesting, the technology on this is changing monthly.
yep.
In previous incarnations, have gone to a bunch of PFAS meetings. And I don't usually I'm an analytical chemist, so I don't usually pay attention to the remediation guys unless they have cool gifts or candy. And, but I'd be happy if the commission was interested in sending me to a meeting to look into new technology that could save us millions of dollars. I mean, the whole thing is, there's gonna be thousands of these treatment plants going up, and there's gonna be a lot of competition. I'm hoping that the prices actually will come down a little bit, but I'm also hoping that the technology will get developed, that will come up with more reasonably priced solutions.
So, I guess part of the issue is, we just got our permit for the pilot study, which took significantly longer than it should have, in my opinion. And it, because of, DEP basically has to approve us step by step for like, down to the type of container we're gonna use to put the water samples in. So they've already approved the
It
type
makes
of.
sense. If you put them in a Teflon container, you're gonna get
So-
some false positives.
They've already approved like what media we can test in the pilot trailer. And it took us 6 months to get that. So I don't think that we have the timeline to explore like the new or emerging
Emerging
technologies.
technologies.
And I know to get approval for an emerging technology is like a whole other process with DEP.
But that's something that these companies do, because if they don't get approval, nobody's gonna buy their stuff.
Right.
So, they're pretty motivated to get that done. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, no,
There are these meetings, literally, there's probably 50 of these meetings a year in different parts of the country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it, but I'm not gonna, we
If I
can't
find-
not do what we've been waiting for 6 months to do
Right.
to maybe be able to do something else. We
Right.
already did that with looking at Haverhill, and now we're a year behind.
Well, if I run into something that I think is really promising,
Yeah.
I'll
If
send you
that's-
guys.
That's kind of your realm, so if something comes across your email that's
I
of
agree,
interest.
yeah. If you find something, Terry, oh, yeah, for sure, bring it back.
Yeah, because I think it could be, I mean, we're not talking, if it was $1,000, it's like, forget it.
Right.
But if it was $1 million, or $5 million, or $10 million, that's worth putting in some effort.
Okay. Couple other things. So I don't know, I'm sure you've seen, the state is grinding and repaving School Street,
Yes, I've
From-
seen the signs.
basically from Parker Road to our office. With that, they're they will fix any of our gate box covers or sewer manhole things that are cracked or broken or whatever. However, they will not provide the physical metal pieces. And they will also not dig down to the water main to like reset a gate box that might have shifted or something. So basically, I'm looking for you guys to authorize me to spend money out of like the emergency fund. We had the crew out, they went down the whole street, they found a couple gate boxes that we need to excavate to reset because DOT won't. And then just the funds.
But it'll be easier when they've got stuff dug up.
Yes. So we have like a 2-week window that we can do it before they pave.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The only question I have about it separately, is there a way for us to work with Arthur and kind of like preemptively prepare for this?
Yeah, so this
So that, like,
this
when-
wasn't a town project, this was the
It's
state.
state,
It's
right?
a
'Cause
Came
state,
in,
so
they-
that's where we got stuck with it,
They
okay.
basically had extra money, so they said, hey, Groveland, we're gonna come pave your road.
So you didn't have a choice, okay.
Right.
So nothing we can do about that, okay.
It's probably only gonna be a couple grand, but I don't wanna spend it out of the operating budget.
I get it, I just, when people hear.
Well, that's
that
why
we're-
we have that.
No, I agree, but when people hear we're spending money on emergency and there's no dollar figure, I just, that's all. Perfect, fine.
Well, do you want to
No,
say, okay,
no.
that's what I thought.
No.
Just making sure.
Thank you, Terry, I appreciate you.
Okay, and then 2 other things. Part of this press release that is gonna go out, the PR company is asking if the board would like to in like middle of May sometime, do some sort of like question and answer thing with the public if they have any questions about what we're doing, and just to kind of take another step into getting the information out to the public.
Yes,
Part of our next meeting or the one after?
yes.
I mean, yeah, it can certainly be integrated into what we're already doing.
I mean, there is a point where we're gonna have to have a public hearing for rates, right?
Yeah, so that has to happen before the middle of June, basically.
Right, so.
Well, that sort of limits
Yeah.
it, doesn't it?
So well, right, that's what I'm saying, so if we combine it
Yeah.
all together, and confirm 100% that there's not a Board of Selectmen meeting at the same time we have a meeting, so that we.
So it can go on.
Correct, so that we don't have to worry about that, so I think, yes.
Yeah, we can figure out the logistics of it, but
I think if you combine them, my thought is you'll get attendance for people concerned about the rates, and you can also educate them about what's going on, right? I don't wanna have 2 meetings and have them feel like, it's a lot of time to commit out of your day, so that's what I would like to try to do.
okay, so we'll work on putting that together.
Yeah,
You mentioned rate hearings and stuff, so figuring out the rates for like what we need to collect in order to pay for this initial engineering aspect of it, which is like that $3.5 million. That's pretty basic. As part of the engineering itself, Ryan's gonna have a separate third-party company who deals with rate setting for utilities. They're gonna come in and do that rate study for us as part of the engineering line, so that moving forward for the whole project, we'll be able to say, at this point, we need the rate to be this to cover the funding for the project. So that will be included, and at my meeting with him on Friday, we kind of figured out that that needs to be one of the first things that happens, because we are on an accelerated track here.
so to be clear, that wouldn't start until everything's appropriated at town meeting, right? Because we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to start that rate process until July 1.
Correct.
So I don't want people to think that we're gonna start next week or next month. It has to wait till July, so that's why,
Right, we won't have the funding to pay for it until July, so we can't
Correct. Nope.
start it.
right, yep. But just something to know.
So we'll do that. And then, part of that same meeting that I had with Ryan, basically we met, it was myself, Ryan, and then the engineer guy who does the plans, like for the facility itself. We just met down there, checking out the site, and just talking about different aspects of the project. We were formally accepted into the state revolving fund for that 15 million for this year. We have a meeting with DEP about something else tomorrow. We're gonna try to push them for some guidance on the flexibility of spending the state revolving fund, and the potential to start bringing the water main from the other side of town down here. Because while we're not ready to construct a building with that funding, part of that project is the raw water pipe to come here. So once we have clarity of if we can take that first step, we might be starting a water main project from well one to at least downtown.
Okay.
So we need to bring a raw water pipe from well one all the way here.
Got it.
We need, part of the plan was to replace, while we're trenching along the one-way, is to replace that 100-year-old pipe that's on the one-way on Main Street at the
Right.
same time. So we dig one trench and put two pipes in it.
Makes sense.
So the thought process right now is to go from well one to the bridge. And then, once we cross onto this section of Main Street, it becomes a DOT highway. So it's more involved. So the thought process is to let that be part of this contract.
Got it.
But we have to find out if we can do that first.
Okay.
Are there other areas we can open up to town water while we're doing that, or is that all fully?
It's all existing, already water and sewer, that whole
It
stretch.
would make sense, because that's
Yeah.
like, right,
But it's a really old pipe, so I wouldn't wanna dig up the road, just put a raw water pipe in and leave a 100-year-old pipe and then
No.
pave over the top of it, so. So that's kinda where we're trying to go now, so that might be happening soon.
what are those pipes made out of?
It's all old, cast iron
Cast
pipe,
iron.
yeah. It's 6-inch, so it's very undersized for what it should be.
So, low pressure, probably leaks all over the place.
Leaks we have a pretty tight system.
Yeah.
But it's undersized for moving the volume of water that goes through there.
Yeah.
And it's an unlined pipe, so, new pipe basically has cement lining on it, so it keeps stuff from sticking to it. The old cast iron pipes tuberculate and
Sure.
they shrink
No,
down.
I've seen iron rust.
There's no reason that we would need to reach out to like National Grid and ask them if there's any projects that they anticipated doing along.
Once we know if we're
Yeah.
gonna be able to do that, I mean, that would be a call that would happen.
And then, are there any customers in that area that are not already tied into sewer that it would be like?
If they aren't, the sewer stub, so like the branch that goes to their house,
Yeah.
all of those are in the grass, out of the road.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yeah, so when
It's all been piped.
when you do a project like that, you get it out of the roadway, so that then if you go to connect 20 years down the road,
It's not an issue.
you don't have to dig in the street.
Got
So we'll see how that's gonna pan out and for timeline and stuff, but,
Okay. Great,
I don't think I have anything else.
then,
Move to
Hello.
adjourn?
yeah, at 5:58. Oh, next meeting.
So,
Or not- Are we sure when the next meeting will be?
so I typically, whether or not it happens or not, I always put a meeting for the night of town meeting,
Yep.
in case there's members there that
Right.
need to vote on something.
Yep.
So I'll do that, and then anything past that is a bonus. If you want to set the next actual meeting.
Well, you gotta check out the selectmen's schedule too,
Yeah.
before we do the next one.
So the only thing I can tell you for sure, right, the 26th is a holiday of May, so that's out. The 19th, I'm away, so it would either, the 12th is what we're looking at, but I don't know if a board.
May 12th?
Yes.
That's a month from now, the town meeting will be fresh in people's minds.
Yeah.
It's probably not a terrible
So-
thing.
I know the Board of Selectmen have a meeting tonight, but is tonight their regular scheduled meeting?
I think so.
It is. So, if I look,
You want me to see if anything's posted on
If you'd like.
the board out there?
technically their meeting would be the 12th then. If this is their regular scheduled meeting, but they had one on the 7th too.
Yeah, other than that, they're finishing up flushing Wednesday,
Great,
which also is the day that they'll be grinding the road, and then right after they're done grinding it, we'll schedule getting out there to fix the stuff we gotta fix.
okay,
So then it can get paved and we don't have to dig up a freshly paved road.
yes, that's nice.
But yeah,
So we'll plan for the 12th, but it does seem if I count every other, it would fall the same time as them. So even if we do it then, we may have to,
we could go across the street.
yes, so we just need to be mindful of that,
And one, you said and on town meeting night,
yeah.
Yep,
which is what?
April 28th.
I will be there, I don't know if Terry will be.
Yeah.
Beth says probably the 19th is their next, the meeting.
It can't be the 9th, oh, the 19th is probably their meeting?
Yes.
Great, love that, okay.
I think you said that there was one scheduled for the 7th?
Yes,
Or,
it's
yeah,
7th and tonight, so
yeah.
I didn't know which one
So,
was
so
it.
she said every 2 weeks usually, so
Okay.
that would make
So
sense.
this must just be the extra
They're
one I
just,
needed.
yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So tentatively,
May 12th,
May 12th.
Oh.
No, whoop.
no,
Please come in.
12th should be okay,
it should be the 12th,
because I was going by election day, not town meeting day.
Got it.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay.
So tentatively the 12th, unless,
Do you plan on being at town meeting?
yeah.
Okay, so then yes,
I
definitely.
don't
post.
usually, but this one I think
Okay, good.
probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely post
Yeah.
that one just in case something
Yes.
has to
Yes, please.
get voted on.
Yep, great.
Alrighty.
I will
Move
make
to
a,
adjourn.
it's 6:02. All in favor?
Aye.
Who moved to adjourn?
I did.